The measles outbreak spreading primarily among unvaccinated children in West Texas, and it's getting worse.
The Trump administration says it plans to roll out a new strategy against the bird flu.
US President Donald Trump has intensified his attacks on Ukraine's wartime president. He's accused Volodymyr Zelensky of being a dictator and a terrible leader who better move fast or he won't have much of a country left.
In this video, we're going to examine a few significant topics that are making headlines this week. A measles outbreak, and how concerned should you be? An avian flu policy shift related to our food supply, and the ongoing and dramatically changed conflict between Russia, Ukraine, and the United States. Even as I film this video, it appears that President Trump has given Europe and Ukraine a deadline of March 13th to sign off on a peace deal. We're going to review all this information to stay informed and prepared without the hype. I'm also going to let you know how you can enroll in this week's giveaway, and you're not going to want to miss out on that one. All right, let's go ahead and jump in. If you're new to this channel, my name is Chris, and on this channel we discuss emergency preparedness, aka prepping. Now, these news-centric videos are here to help you understand the potential upcoming changes in our world so you can prepare accordingly. Some of these threats, they're immediate, and some they'll never come to fruition, but it's vital to assess them from a neutral standpoint to determine what, if any, impact they may have on your future stability and security. Also, stick around to the end. I'm going to share some updates of what we've been doing here behind the scenes. We're actually right now raising some chickens, and we're going to be doing some videos on those. I also did some minor grading on our property yesterday to get it ready to set up our garden beds. And we spent today, and we'll be doing tomorrow, irrigation lines in preparation for building the off-grid setup that we're documenting here on the channel. All right, let's go ahead and jump into it. Measles outbreak. First of all, there's no need to panic about the recent measles outbreak, but it does warrant attention, especially in specific regions. It's crucial to analyze the data objectively, separating it from sensationalism and preconceived notions. Currently, Texas reports 58 confirmed cases, a rise of 10 since last week, and New Mexico has 8. Now, 13 individuals have required hospitalization, highlighting the disease's severity. Only 4 infected individuals were vaccinated, with most being unvaccinated or having an unknown vaccination status, suggesting a lack of immunization. In one affected school district, 48% of kindergartners had requested vaccine exemptions. And while legally permissible, this does raise concerns about community susceptibility. The broader debate surrounding vaccinations could impact our overall vulnerability to preventable diseases. And while alarming, this outbreak is somewhat contained from going endemic because of the number of United States people that are vaccinated. Now, I aim to present you with the numbers and alert you if there's a cause for concern. And from a prepping standpoint, I would look to determine the vaccination exemption rate in your local school district. If your numbers are anywhere near the 48% that Texas school district has, I would expect that you potentially could see an outbreak in your community at some point in the near future. You should also find a public health site that you trust and monitor nationwide outbreaks. Also, do your own research and use the facts and numbers to assess your own exposure and risk, then plan and prep accordingly. You also have to keep this in perspective. We're experiencing a spike right now, which is why I'm alerting you to this. But with around 71 cases or so this year, we're currently on track for about 518 cases. That's significant, but not significant enough to cause anyone to panic. Even in the years where reported cases are still 0, measles it's still out there. And that's not going to change whether we have herd immunity, no immunity, or just individual immunity. So what do you think? Are these measles outbreaks causing you any significant concerns? Let us know your take in the comments below. Thanks to Surfshark for sponsoring this limited ad video. As you browse the internet each day, you unknowingly leave a digital footprint that can be tracked. Hackers, governments, and corporations, they can collect your IP address, location, and even search history to profit from your data. That's why I use Surfshark VPN every time I go online. While researching topics, checking financial accounts, or streaming content, I want my connection to be secure and private. A VPN gives me peace of mind knowing my information is not being tracked or harvested. Surfshark VPN encrypts your internet connection, keeping your data private. But now, Surfshark offers even more with Surfshark One. It's a full security suite that includes Surfshark Alert, Surfshark Search, and Surfshark Antivirus. With Surfshark Alert, you'll get real-time warnings if your personal data is leaked online. Surfshark Search ensures truly private, tracker-free web searches. And with Surfshark Antivirus, you get real-time protection from malware and cyber threats. Surfshark VPN also lets you bypass geographic restrictions, unlocking streaming platforms worldwide. There's zero risk. Surfshark offers a 30-day money-back guarantee. Sign up today at surfshark.com/city and enter coupon code CITY for an extra 4 months. Take control of your online security now. Avian flu. The avian flu remains a concern, primarily for poultry and farm animals. Human infections are mainly linked to occupational exposure. Now, the detection of H5N1 in 5 pigs in Oregon last October was particularly alarming, given the biological similarities between pigs and humans. Now, the 1918 Spanish flu was caused by an H1N1 virus, which presumptively leaped from swine to humans and became the ancestor of many flu viruses that we see today. Now, while humans have developed some immunity to common flu strains over time, new variants that our immune systems aren't prepared for can still emerge, potentially causing severe outbreaks. Now, the primary concern is a disruption to this food supply. Avian flu has led to the culling of millions of birds, driving up prices and affecting industries relying on them, such as bakeries, food manufacturers, and restaurants. Now, poultry shortages also increase meat prices. Farmers face significant losses and rising biosecurity costs, with ripple effects throughout the supply chain, impacting feed suppliers, transportation, and retail. Now, the consequences extend beyond just the egg industry in your morning breakfast choices. The Trump administration is reportedly considering a change in approach in managing H5N1 outbreaks, potentially moving away from mass culling of infected poultry. However, this shift could leave millions of infected birds in circulation, increasing exposure risk for farm workers and complicating food supply safety. Now, traditionally, the USDA's Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service has overseen culling operations that contain outbreaks, often using foam to suffocate entire flocks. And while a drastic measure, this method helps limit the virus's spread. Allowing birds to die naturally could result in mass die-offs and increase the risk of broader transmission. A contributing factor to this policy shift may be the recent downsizing of the USDA workforce, with thousands of employees terminated in a broader federal reduction effort. And some of those fired were involved in avian flu response, and the USDA has tried to reverse certain dismissals. Now, it's unclear whether the administration's shifts in policy is a deliberate change or a strategy or consequences of fewer personnel available to oversee culling operations. But the critical question is whether the move away from culling is proactive or a reaction to staffing shortages. Either way, infected birds will be culled or die at a near total mortality rate of 90 to 100% within 48 hours. The main difference lies in how quickly and widely the virus spreads without controlled contaminant. There's only mild concern about this spread to humans, but the main concerns are the lasting impact on the food supply and agricultural sector. Poultry farms in a highly corporatized farming structure have considerable risk with few assurances. Entire operations can be wiped out. Generationally owned hatcheries, they can be decimated by this in mere hours. The United States has conditionally approved a vaccine to protect poultry from avian flu, but we're still a long way from that being implemented or even tested on any large scale, so we're also far from understanding the efficacy rate of such a strategy. So, do you have a backyard flock? What are your observations? What precautions are you taking? Would you vaccinate your birds if it was offered? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd like to hear your opinions on this. Ukraine. Is Russia's war on Ukraine nearing its end, or is this a new unpredictable chapter unfolding? President Donald Trump has allegedly given European leaders a 3-week deadline to agree to terms to Ukraine's surrender to Russia, threatening to withdraw U.S. troops from Europe if they don't comply. Is it accurate that we might really pull troops out of Europe? We don't know, as some U.S. officials deny it, but we also know that everything is on the table, according to the United States Secretary of Defense. Now, this ultimatum, as claimed by Finnish MEP Mika Aalto, comes amid concerns that Trump might negotiate a settlement with Russian President Vladimir Putin that could force Ukraine to abandon its NATO aspirations and cede its occupied territories. Now, the Trump administration's first month has already signaled a significant departure from Biden's foreign policy and even the policies of the last near century. Trump has blamed Ukrainian President Zelensky for starting the war, and Secretary of State Rubio met with the Russian officials in Jordan without inviting Ukraine or any European allies. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth initially aligned his Ukraine policy with President Trump's desire for a swift end to the conflict, ruling out NATO membership for Ukraine and declaring pre-2014 borders unrealistic. However, the next day, he changed his position by stating that everything is on the table and deferring to President Trump's authority, causing confusion and raising concern among our allies. President Trump proposed a deal for U.S. ownership of 50% of Ukraine's rare earth minerals in exchange for continued military support, which Zelensky rejected. Trump then escalated his criticism, calling Zelensky a dictator without elections and accusing him of misusing U.S. funds. Now, he further blames Zelensky for the invasion, contradicting the widely accepted view that Russia initiated the conflict. Now, these shifting positions, they have raised concerns about the future of U.S.-Ukrainian relations and ongoing peace negotiations. Clearly, the United States is reducing its role in the conflict, and Europe and Ukraine are preparing to proceed independently. And if America relinquishes its negotiating strength, Europe might authorize Ukraine to use long-range weapons, potentially escalating the war beyond Ukrainian borders. European leaders are alarmed by President Trump's recent statements, blaming Ukraine for the war and his administrative shifts in policy towards Russia. French President Emmanuel Macron has convened emergency meetings, and EU's chief diplomat, Kaja Kallas, has labeled recent U.S. moves as appeasement, condemning Europe's exclusion from negotiations with Russia. The shock in Brussels is palpable, with Timothy Ash from Chatham House noting that Europeans are realizing the U.S. is an unreliable partner. European sentiment perceives that the Trump administration intends to circumvent them and exert pressure on Ukraine to forge a deal with Russia to conclude the war. Part of the new administration's intention is to have Europe pay for its own defenses and to withdraw from the world stage. However, the strategy, it could backfire, emboldening Putin. President Trump signed an executive order imposing sanctions on the International Criminal Court and its officials, which, targeting U.S. and Israeli actions, also somewhat invalidates the cases against Putin. Now, additionally, the Justice Department has disbanded Task Force Kleptocapture, which was established to enforce sanctions against Russian oligarchs. Now, taken together, there's significant celebration in Moscow, apprehension in Kiev, and grave doubt and distrust of the U.S.-European partnership moving forward. As the conflict's dynamics shift, partnerships with Europe could dissolve. Europe may increase its support for Ukraine, viewing it as a buffer against further Russian aggression. The implications for Article 5 of the NATO Charter, which ensures collective defense, are significant. President Trump has repeatedly questioned the U.S. commitment to Article 5, suggesting that support would depend on allies meeting defense spending targets. Now, his statement at a South Carolina rally, where he claimed he would encourage Russia to attack NATO allies who were delinquent in payments, intensified concerns. When you look at the big picture here, it's very probable that the United States will lose its seat and negotiating power at the table. Could we also find the country on the side of Russia in this conflict? We'll have to see. But with any significant policy shift, especially international geopolitical shifts, the potential for supply chain disruptions are exponentially increased. And that can impact both exports to Europe and imports from these countries. The big picture indicates that America is entering a willful period of isolationism and withdrawing from the world stage. As I struggle to make sense of it, I'm constantly drawn back to the work of Ray Dalio in his book, Principles for Dealing with the Changing World Order. And if you haven't read that, you may want to add it to your winter reading list. At the very least, I'll link to a video that provides an overview in the comments and description section below. He identifies a big cycle governing the rise and fall of empires, which includes economic, social, and political factors. According to Dalio, the United States is currently in stage 5 of decline, characterized by increasing wealth inequality, political polarization, the potential loss of its reserve currency status. And this aligns with historical patterns of empire decline and suggests that significant changes in the global order, they may be imminent. If that's even partially what's happening here, that should be all the reason you need to redouble your prepping efforts or start preparing today. So, what do you think? Do you see golden years ahead for the United States, a period of isolationism, or stronger America on the world stage? Leave a comment below. Giveaway. This week's winner will receive a car emergency kit. All you have to do to participate in a giveaway is just simply comment on this video, give it a thumbs up, and complete the giveaway form linked in the description section below. Now, you have to complete the form to be eligible, as that's how we randomly pick a winner and contact you. This information is only accessible to our team, and what we'll do is we'll use a random selection tool. We'll choose a winner from the entrance and reach out to you via email that you provide on the submitted form. So congrats to our last giveaway winner for the ReadyWise 72-hour food supply, Donald Hall. We're going to get that sent right away to you. Now, given these converging crises, from public health threats and food supply vulnerabilities to geopolitical instability and the potential decline of American influence, a proactive approach to preparedness is increasingly vital. And when you zoom out on these indicators, they show an out-of-focus period of significant global change and uncertainty, underscoring the importance of individual resilience in navigating an increasingly unpredictable future. To phrase that in its simplest terms, you need to prepare because the nation or state is not likely to swoop in and save you if any of these things go sideways. Your prepping is your best defense against an uncertain future. And with that in mind, I have been proactively working here at the property more in earnest over the last several weeks. A few weeks ago, we started to cut ground, setting up the irrigation lines, and I ended up getting sidetracked part of the way through that project. And what I had to do is finally offload a lot of responsibilities to someone we just brought on the team. And yesterday, I was finally able to get back to the property. And what I'll be doing is focusing on that over the next few months, building that out, setting up irrigation, garden beds. We'll set up chicken coop, rain harvesting, solar, composting. We'll be going the whole 9 yards. And what we're going to be doing is developing an off-grid setup in 3,000 square feet, which is actually smaller than the average size American backyard. Yesterday, I did some light grading. I picked up a tractor several months ago, and I just did some kind of light grading to get things started. Today, I started building out the irrigation lines. I did trenching. I brought someone to help me set up the irrigation lines while I trenched. And what we're going to be doing is hopefully getting that wrapped up tomorrow. We're setting up all the lines with tees that stick up out of the ground, so we have a little stub so we know where to tie into in the future when we set up the garden beds. We're also going to be setting up fruit trees here in about a week or two. So we've set lines up with that, and we're just building out the infrastructure for that at this point. Today is the 20th, and 8 days, next Friday, we'll be getting the fence set up around that garden area. And then once that's done, we'll be able to start bringing in dirt and chickens and everything else. I have a dog on the property, so if we set that up now and we don't fence it in, she'll destroy it all. That's the joys of having an 80-pound Great Pyrenees. Great dogs, but they get into everything. And what I'm going to be doing is I'll document the whole process over the next several months here on the channel and show you what we're doing to proactively get ready. One of the things that, as a prepper, we build our initial foundation. We get serious about, hey, how do I prepare for 3 days? Then we get serious about 3 weeks. Then we understand how to go to 3 months. That's always the cycle I try to take people through, a progressive timeline that enables you to become prepared. Once you hit that 3-month period, you're really prepared to just, well, really you have to scale up food and water at that point to be able to get ready for a year. But as I prepared over the years, my goal has always been to go from just being a prepper, having food and items stored, to developing a self-sufficient setup where I can produce my own food, harvest my own water, and actually learn skills. And I've had a lot of start and stops over the years, but that's again why I bought this property, to be able to do whatever I want here. And again, to document the process. I got chickens. I can't recall if I mentioned this on the channel or not, but about 2.5 weeks ago, actually it'd be 3 weeks this Saturday. And what we did is we got 6 of them. And if you ever raised chickens before, they are one of the easiest things. Pretty much just give them food and water, checking them on a daily basis, and they're pretty much good to go. And what we'll be doing is once we have the fence set up here on the property, we'll set up a coop, and then we'll bring in the chickens. And again, we'll be documenting that whole process. And I'll do a video here shortly about raising chicks and that whole process, because with avian flu and the price of eggs, I know a lot of people are probably going to be interested, especially if they continue culling these chickens, because if they continue on this, it'll be 6 months before, once they finally get under control, that they can even begin to bring on new chickens. Or rather, it takes 6 months from a chick to usually a full-grown maturity where they can begin to produce eggs. So I can't imagine the price of eggs getting cheaper anytime soon. The quicker that people can develop and learn this skill with raising chickens, it might become more of a, just a practical thing to have as already. So all that to say, I always like to try to wrap up things and try to give a word of encouragement on these types of videos. And when I look, when we're looking at what's playing out, these times of uncertainty, look, it's natural to feel uneasy about the world around us. So many of my family members that I talk to, they're very uncomfortable with just all the rapid change. And again, if you haven't watched the video, A Changing World Order, I recommend people watch that all the time. And it's very fascinating to watch where we are as a country now. I went through the book, or rather the audio book, and to see the progression of every empire, what they go through, is not too dissimilar from where we are now. And I always try to remember, the most powerful thing I can do in the face of uncertainty is to take action. And that's why I am so proactively getting started moving on this property. I've had a lot of start and stops. I've been so tied up in administrative work, building the team. And we've had a lot of maintenance that we had to do on this property. That's just seems like it's always nonstop. But we finally got everything squared away. And now I'm in the phase where I'm going full steam on let's develop, let's build this, and I'm learning as I go. And my encouragement to you is this. Each step that you take to prepare, whether it's stocking up on essentials, whether you're learning a new skill or you're just strengthening your plans, I find that in these moments, when I take these proactive steps, it always brings me closer to a place of confidence and security, especially when I go from the unknown and I'm learning and I'm doing, I get a sense of confidence that, okay, things are going to be okay. And it's not about predicting any scenario, but it's about empowering ourselves to face the unknown with calm and control. And as I always say here on the channel, no one's a victim. You're not a victim. A lot's happening around the world. And that's why we try so hard here on this channel to give you practical information to help you prepare every week. I've been doing we've done 3 videos this month on practical tips to get you started on food storage. Next week, we're gonna do a video on a room that we have set up here at the house on the property where we've converted it into a pantry. I had a mini split heat pump system installed where we can keep it cool very efficiently. And I'll be documenting that process as we set up a pantry in there. And we're going to be building kind of a deep long-term food storage setup in there. So again, my encouragement is take comfort in knowing that every small action, it makes a difference. The effort that you put in today, it really helps create a sense of peace, even amidst all this chaos that's happening around us. And my encouragement to you is to stay focused, stay grounded, and know that by taking control of what you can, and that's really the critical phrase there, take control of what you can. You're already ahead of the game. And look, we're gonna get through this together. I'm here for you. I've never felt in all the 9 and some odd years, 9 and about, not quite half a year, but give or take 9.5 years being on here on YouTube. I've never felt such a strong sense of urgency like I have here even recently. It just keeps ramping up with everything playing out in the world. And I'm not going anywhere. I feel like this is just a beginning. We've built a community online. I'll continue to invest in that to try to help, train, prepare people. And the key is we're going to make it through this together. And I would suggest no matter where you are in your preparedness journey, go ahead and check out these 2 videos here on the side of the screen. The first is how to stockpile food on a budget, and the second is how to survive the first 90 days after SHTF. I'm also going to link to those below. These 2 videos are going to give you a strong understanding and foundation on how you can turn your anxiety into action and secure a more stable future for yourself through preparedness. As always, stay safe out there.